I'm 86 years old. For most of my life, I cared about everything being right. Not just acceptable, not just decent, right. In order. Controlled. I thought that was what being a responsible man looked like. I thought it meant I was steady, dependable, someone you could count on. Somewhere in my late 70s, that grip loosened. Not all at once. It just stopped feeling urgent. The things I once guarded so fiercely began to feel small. And now, at 86, I can say this without hesitation. One day, you'll stop caring about a lot of what feels important right now. Not because it disappears, because it loses its power over you. I'm sitting at my kitchen table as I say this. Small apartment, nothing fancy. The radiator clicks every few minutes, like it's reminding me it's still working. I made tea earlier. It's cold now. I forgot about it. That happens more than I'd like to admit. Things cool off before you get to them, including plans, including life. On the counter, there's a cheap plastic box with a piece of tape on it. I wrote keys in thick black marker. The letters shake because my hands do. It's ugly. Doesn't match a thing. But if I misplace my keys now, my heart races, and panic is worse than clutter. That's something age teaches you. You stop caring about how things look. You start caring about what keeps you steady. I wish I'd learned that earlier. I grew up in western Pennsylvania, in a small house that smelled like coal smoke, soap, and whatever my mother was boiling that night. My mother believed in order. Shoes lined up, counters wiped, beds made tight. Not out of cruelty, out of fear. Fear that disorder meant failure. Order felt like safety. When I was 22, I got a job at the county courthouse, records department. I wasn't important. I wasn't ambitious, but the work suited me. I sat behind a wooden counter with a glass partition. People slid documents through a metal slot. Marriage licenses, deeds, name changes, things that made life official. I liked that nothing floated. Everything had a place, a drawer, a label. At 25, I married my wife, Ellen. She was warmer than I was, laughed easily, talked with her hands. She made messes without apologizing for them. That should have been my first clue. Our first house was modest. Brown linoleum, pine cabinets, a bathtub with a chip in the enamel. I fixed shelves, painted walls, lined things up until the place felt controlled. When I came home from work, I kicked my shoes off by the door. Ellen would leave them there. It bothered me. I picked them up and placed them neatly on the mat. I told myself it was nothing. It wasn't nothing. It was the beginning. We had our son Michael when I was 29. I remember holding him and feeling something tighten in my chest. Responsibility, fear, determination. I told myself I would do it right. I thought doing it right meant rules, clean spaces, discipline, predictability. I wiped fingerprints off the table the moment he made them, straightened toys while he was still playing, corrected how he held a cup, how he sat, how loudly he laughed. I didn't yell much. I never hit him. But I had a way of going quiet, and silence can be loud. We had a front room we barely used, couch no one sat on, coffee table no one touched. It stayed perfect. Michael learned quickly which rooms were safe and which weren't. When he was 8, he spilled grape juice on the carpet in that front room.
One careless second, purple spreading fast. I remember his face more than the stain. He froze, looked at me like he'd committed a crime. I didn't shout. I said his full name, slow and firm. I scrubbed the carpet while he stood there silent. Afterward, he went to his room and shut the door. I didn't follow. That night, Ellen said, "He's just a kid." I said, "He needs to learn." I never really asked myself what I was teaching him. In my 30s and 40s, routine took over. Same mug every morning, turned so the chip faced away. Same grocery route, same expectations. Michael wanted friends over. I allowed it, but I hovered. Shoes off, not in that room. Use this cup, not that one. I told myself I was teaching manners. What I was really teaching was that my house wasn't a place to relax. One summer afternoon, Michael and a friend sat on the back steps listening to baseball on a small radio. I walked out and said, too sharply, "Turn that down." The radio went quiet. That evening, Michael asked if he could go to his friend's house the next day. I said yes without thinking. Part of me felt relieved. That relief should have scared me. By the time Michael went to college, he came home less. When he did, he dropped his bag by the stairs. It irritated me. He left a glass in the sink. I washed it immediately. He talked while I straightened counters. Sometimes he stopped mid-sentence and looked at me, like he was checking if I was listening. I wasn't. Not really. The turning point didn't come loudly. It came on an ordinary Thursday. I was 58. I'd been brushing off chest pain as indigestion. Didn't want to make a fuss. That morning I went to work with a thermos and a sandwich Ellen wrapped for me. Around noon, my vision narrowed. My chest tightened. The world went dark at the edges. I woke up under bright lights. Heart attack, they said. I survived, barely. Recovery was slow. I moved carefully, thought carefully, or so I believed. A few weeks after I came home, Michael stopped by. We sat at the kitchen table. I fussed with mail that didn't need sorting. He watched me for a moment, then he asked, "Dad, are you happy?" I answered too fast. "Of course." He nodded, but didn't look convinced. After a pause, he said, "You don't really seem comfortable at home." I laughed it off, said I liked things neat, but once he said it, I couldn't unhear it. I started noticing how often I escaped to the garage, how tense I felt when the house got loud, how much effort I put into keeping life quiet. I loved my family, that was never in question, but love isn't the same as being easy to live with. Years passed. Ellen died in my 70s. After she was gone, the house felt hollow. The perfection looked ridiculous. The silence echoed. One afternoon, I threw out the wax fruit we'd kept on the table for decades, hard, fake grapes. I held them over the trash and felt relief. A year later, Michael invited me for Thanksgiving. His house was chaos, shoes everywhere, toys underfoot, drawings taped crooked to the fridge, a dog barking at nothing. My chest tightened out of habit. Then my granddaughter ran up and hugged my legs with sticky hands. For a moment, I wanted to pull away. Instead, I bent down and hugged her back. Dinner wasn't perfect. Milk spilled. Nobody rushed to fix it. Later, Michael looked at me and asked, "You okay?" He meant it. I nodded. And I was. Watching my grandkids on the floor, laughing, I realized something quietly devastating. This was what I'd been protecting myself from: noise, mess, life. And I'd missed so much of it. Now I'm 86. I don't care if the house looks right. I care if it feels welcoming. I care if people stay longer than planned. I care if someone feels comfortable enough to put their feet up. No one remembers your floors. No one remembers your towels. They remember how they felt around you. One day, you'll stop caring about the wrong things, about control, about appearances, about perfection. I just hope you stop before it costs you years you can't get back. There aren't many years left for me, I feel that. But when my family visits, the place gets loud, messy, alive. And that matters more than anything I ever tried to keep perfect. That's all I wanted to say. I'm 86, and this is what I finally stopped caring about.